Hi, I'm back. So now we're going to talk about MyStatLab. So this is where the online homework is done. So you can just Google up MyStatLab. The company is Pearson, so it should say Pearson MyStatLab. They call it MyLab Statistics because they have MyLab Statistics, MyLab Chemistry, etc. But anyway, if you just do MyStatLab, it'll take you there. And this is their homepage. If you already have an account, you could just sign in. If you're new, then just go to Student and Register. And at that point, you're going to need to go over to the syllabus. And right here in the syllabus, I have the course ID. So I'm just going to copy that. Perkins 79539. Summer 2023. Okay, so put that away. And then say, I'm going to register as a student. You need an email address, and you should use your Hartnell Gmail account for that. And then the course ID, which I just copied, and then a way to pay for it. So last semester, I believe it was $98. I also put it in the bookstore, so if you have financial aid, you can buy it from the bookstore. In the bookstore, if they try to tell you to buy the 1-year version, do not do that. All you need is like something that would cover 6 weeks. I think their shortest one is 16 weeks for like $98. So whatever the cheapest one is, that's the one to get. So you would then say, okay, register now. And I don't know if it's going to work because, okay, this part works. Okay, so you just put the Perkins 79539 and then continue. Yeah, this is the part where it's like, hey Greg, you already have an account, so go ahead and sign in. So anyway, it would be at this point where they would say, okay, you're signing up for Perkins Math 13 the summer of 2023, and how do you want to pay for it? And on that page, it's going to have a temporary access button. I would suggest that you use the temporary access. Of course, if you want to just pay for it and be done with it, you could do that. Or you could use the temporary access, and that way you can use it for free. I believe that it's 14 days. So you can use it for 14 days for free. And at the end of 14 days, it's going to say, okay, you now need to pay for it. And if you don't, they're going to lock you out until you pay for it. But they save all of your work. So once you pay for it, you're back in and you go back to work. It saves all of your work, of course. Okay, so they realize that I'm already a customer, so they want me to sign in. So when you do, let me go to the home page. So when you do, it's going to look something like this. And personally, I don't pay attention to this stuff in the middle. I just go over to assignments. So this is where I was saying you would, on Canvas, watch the video that I made, look at the notes, email me with questions if you have questions, come to the in-person office hours, etc. And then you come over here to do the homework. And notice that the due dates are already right here, just as it is on the second page of the syllabus. So you're ready to do the homework, so you say, okay, homework for section 1.1. Now, if you have a pop-up blocker, so when I go to open a question, it's going to pop open this window. And if it does not pop up a window like that, it's because you've got pop-up blockers enabled. So I'm using Google Chrome. When that happens, up here in the right-hand corner, it would have like a little red icon with an arrow through it or a slash through it. And I just click on that and say, allow pop-ups from Pearson. So that usually takes care of 99% of the problems. Every once in a while, somebody has still problems with that. So if you just Google MyStatLab, and there's even a common thing that people look up, pop-ups, and then they will show you how to, the Pearson support will show you how to stop the pop-up blockers, because all of their questions are these little pop-ups. Okay, so once that's done, you're ready to do the homework, and I set it up so that you have three attempts per question. So if you don't get it right, so like this question, let's pretend that I just read it and I think the answer is B. So you check it and they say, no, that's not right, try again. Okay. Now when they give you a question and you don't get it right, they will change it just slightly. So make sure that you read it. Sometimes it's just something simple as, one time this might say Washington University and next it says Oregon University. Or sometimes one question will say, what if there's 58 people? And then next time you try it, it says, what if there's 65 people? So they change the question just slightly, but not by very much. Okay, so when you're doing the questions, you can always go over here to get more help. And it sort of depends on the question. Like this is section 1.1 and it's just basic reasoning. And there's not any math to do, so they don't really have any examples. In a minute, I'll show you a more complicated one. But one thing you can always do is ask me. So when you want to ask a question about the homework, please make sure you use this button, Ask My Instructor. Because like I said, they change each question a little bit. So if you were to just email me and say, hey, on question number 2, why did they say 58 people? And I open the question and it says 65 people. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. There is no 58 people. So when you use Ask My Instructor, then it's going to send me a copy of the exact question you were looking at. And then you can type in your question right here. It's sent to me, and then I just get it as an email. I can see exactly what they asked you, and then I can answer your question. All right, so please use that if you have questions on the homework. You can also use the interactive textbook. So you just click on the textbook, and it also is going to be a pop-up. And sometimes this can take a little while to load, but once it loads, then it seems to work very well. So at times when I'm using it, this interactive textbook, I just leave it open and I'll just minimize it so that I don't have to wait for it to load and then just bring it back. And of course you can read it just like a regular textbook. But the other good thing is that they have, let me find one, they have videos embedded. So when you're reading this, you can say, I would like to see a video of what they're talking about. And then, so that's the actual author, Mario Triola. And then, so they have videos all throughout the textbook, these interactive videos. So you can use that for help. And I'm just closing it before I finish. So it says, do you want to really leave? Yes, I want to leave. And you can see the red check marks are the ones that I got wrong. Excuse me, the red X's are the ones that I got wrong, and the check mark is the ones that I got right. And you have 3 attempts. You don't have to go in order. You can say, oh, I'm tired of question number 2. I'm going to try question number 7. Perfectly fine. And then, oh, that's sort of like what Mario Triola was just talking about. So that video that he was just doing would have corresponded to this question. And let me look at the Get More Help. So there's StatCrunch, which you can use StatCrunch, and on Canvas, I've got a little video about how to use StatCrunch, but we're going to be using the TI-84, so I would recommend that. Tech Help is something that you would never really need to use. Tech Help would be something like, every time I try to click D, it keeps clicking B, or something like that. You don't really need that at all. Something that also is helpful is when they offer this, help me solve this. So what they'll do is, if you look at the, oh yeah, so help me solve this. So basically they take you through the exact problem and they take you through step by step. In this one, there's not that many steps. You need to answer and then continue. Okay, so I should have read the question. So anyway, it'll take you through step by step. And then when you're done, it's going to change the numbers. So it basically takes you through the steps. And then when you go back to do the problem, it just changes the numbers a little bit, but the steps are the same. Now, I would like to find one that actually requires a little more work. So let me look at maybe chapter 3. So I'll just randomly pick a question. And that one does not require much work. Okay, here's a percentage problem. So under the Get More Help, notice that now it has more stuff. So each question, depending on how much stuff they have developed behind the scenes, then this could have more and more stuff. The Ask My Instructor will always be there. The textbook will be somewhere in here. And with this one, you could either do Help Me Solve This, where they're going to solve this exact problem and show you step by step. And then when it's your turn to do it, they'll change the numbers. Or if you use View an Example, it just does it the other way around. It gives you an example that's very similar. So for example, right here, I'm not even reading the question. I'm just looking at this number, 217.12. And then on the original question, it says 71.4. So the steps would be the same, they're just changing the numbers. So there's 2 ways you can do it. You can say continue, and it will show you one step, and you read that. Continue, continue, or you can say print it. And I'm not actually going to print it, but what I like with the print it is they give you the whole thing rather than having to do it step by step. Then they just give you the whole thing, and then you can just look at it and read it yourself. So there's 2 ways. You can either just look at it step by step or say print it and look at the whole thing. And then once you've gone through those steps and you say, okay, now I understand what they mean, then you go back and answer the question. Oh, also when you need to type symbols, so this isn't, you don't have to do this a whole lot, but if you need a fraction, then use the fraction bar. If you need a square root, then use the square root symbol. So any symbols you'll need are going to be down here on the bottom. All right, so that's basically the homework. Keep in mind you get 3 attempts for each question. Another thing that I wanted to show you is the multimedia library over here on the left. So basically with the multimedia library, you would tell it which chapter you're working on. So let's say chapter 2 and on section 2.2. And then you just say, show me everything you've got on section 2.2. And they say, okay, here's everything we've got. So a moment ago when I was looking at one question, I said, whatever they have behind the scenes, then they will show you that. Well, here is everything they have behind the scenes. So here's all of the videos that they've made, 2 to 3 minutes, 1.5 minutes. So small videos that they've made. So you can watch those as examples. Using the TI-84. So we're not going to use Excel or StatDisk, but using the TI-84. In my videos, I do show you how to do that, but if you need some extra help, then you can click on the how to use the TI-84. They've got these other, this is a whole, a longer video, 11 minutes long, and then just the basics of each one. So I really like the multimedia library because then you can just pick and choose what you want to help you out in that particular section. All right, so that's basically it with the MyStatLab, and you do not need to submit anything because once you do the question, like I just did a moment ago, so once you do a question, it keeps track of which ones you got right and which ones you got wrong, etc. And then it's got your grade so far. And then once a week, I just go in and I import the grades from the MyStatLab into Canvas. And so once a week, you'll see the grades being updated in Canvas. So you don't need to do anything about that. All right, so that's it. Please let me know if you have any questions.